Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Borough Council meeting to order. We'll begin with a moment of silence.
Mr. President, if we can remember the victims from the most recent mall shooting right nearby in Borough.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilperson Boyd?
Present.
Councilperson Demko?
Here.
Councilperson LeVara?
Present.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Here.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Here.
Council President Katina?
Here.
Mayor Kabistic?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on any of the listed motions this evening?
Just a question.
Yes, Leonard.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes, sir.
on motion E, international property maintenance, and letter H, obstruction on sidewalks. Just explain it to me when you get to it.
You have a specific question?
When you get to it.
When you read the ordinance, Terry can explain it.
Okay.
It's more Terry.
Okay.
We make the motion, then we'll explain.
Okay.
Very good.
There you go. Mr. Ferry?
Would you take a public comment on another subject?
This is on listed motions specifically. Everything else is at the end of the meeting. Is there anything else for the listed motions this evening? Seeing nothing else, we'll begin with administration. Councilman Sarsfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one motion this evening. Motion A is a motion to approve the minutes from the council meeting on January the 12th, 2015. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Finance, Councilman DeLoss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve the February bill list and bill list addendum.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson LeVara?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilwoman Demko.
Motion to permit the Carnegie Youth Athletic Association to utilize the 7th Avenue field Monday through Saturday, the Carnegie Park baseball field and all-purpose field Monday through Sunday, and Chiota Field 1 and 2 Monday through Sunday, beginning April 1st, 2015 and continuing through October 1st, 2015.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Motion to advertise to begin taking applications for Department of Public Works Equipment Operator.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion?
Well, just, so you want to say who's retiring?
Well, Ed Fisher is retiring. He will be retiring in May, so we need to replace his position.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Public Safety has no motions this evening. Community Development and Code Enforcement, Councilman LeVara.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion A. Motion to ratify the decision of the Planning Commission recommending to Council the lot subdivision submitted by NVR Inc., Presley Heights Land Development, Amendment Number 5, Lot and Block 103-E-136.
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Motion to ratify the decision of the Planning Commission recommending to Council the lot subdivision and consolidation of of 734 Sarah Street, lot and block 103-N-257, and 6 Covent Street, lot and block 103-N-256.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
C has been struck, is that correct?
C has been struck.
Okay. D, motion to adopt resolution number 2015-02, a resolution of the Borough of Carnegie approving the acquisition and subsequent disposition of parcel of vacant land known as lot and block number 103-G-262, 307 Center Avenue, would be in accord with the comprehensive plan of the municipality.
Second.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
The next motion is a consolidation of E, F, G, and H for the purposes of procedure. Motion to advertise ordinance number 2411, an ordinance of the Borough of Carnegie, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 5, Part 2 of the Borough Code of Ordinances to provide for adoption of the International Property Maintenance Code, International Property Maintenance Code, and amending Chapter 5, Part 4 of the Borough Code of the Ordinances for occupancy permits, and amending Chapter 10, Part 2 of the Borough Code of Ordinances with open well and excavation, and amending Chapter 21, Part 5 of the Borough Code of Ordinances for obstruction on sidewalks.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded.
Terry, can you explain obstruction?
When you're president, please let me know.
Let me start by saying this. What the Code Enforcement and Community Development branch of the municipality has been basically doing has been reviewing ordinances to allow for a much more efficient and effective way of making sure the building codes are understood, are progressive so as to promote business development and to be brought up to date. Some of the ordinances are quite arcane at best. Certain things don't even exist. And so, for example, in these motions, there is something that we know as in municipal businesses, BOCA, which was a code ordinance system that no longer exists. Okay, and so therefore their standards are never going to be changed in the future to keep everything current. The International Property Maintenance Code is now the system or organization that people look to in order to revise code enforcement ordinances, etc. So these four sections are four sections that we're looking to address as they relate to various matters, which include occupancy permits, include what we call open wells and excavations, you know, like a ditch, what has to be done in that circumstances, and also obstruction on sidewalks, okay, such as, you know, signs, sandwich board signs, things like that, and to make the sections of the code easier for code enforcement to enforce on a consistent basis. Terry? Anything else? Chief, thank you. Any questions?
I just didn't understand the part with international relating to Carnegie. And,
That's just what it's called.
What is the company that works for? It's the company that works for. They're the international property maintenance. It's the company that works
But they're trying to standardize.
with who? Another country?
No, that's the name of the company that publishes the book of codes that we're going to use going forward.
Yeah.
Like I said.
You good with that, Mr. President? Okay, let's check.
Can we have a second?
You got one. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Committee reports, we'll begin with administration, Councilperson Sarsfield.
Nothing, Mr. President.
Finance, Councilperson Delos.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Friday and Saturday, I attended some governmental seminars in Harrisburg. And there were a couple that were impactful regarding finance of the borough and the whole state, actually. And the two of the topics were regarding health care in the Commonwealth, and the other was public banking. The public banking one is very interesting. Of the thousands of banks in America, there's only one of them that's actually owned by the people of that jurisdiction, and that is the Bank of North Dakota, which seems a very strange place for there to be a bank, but it goes back 100 years when all the wheat farmers and millers and traders were upset with the banks in New York, and so they made their own bank. The state of North Dakota has a bank. And the amazing thing about that is that during the 2008 recession, North Dakota was pretty much unaffected by everything that happened. People didn't lose their homes because they were guaranteed by the state bank, and businesses didn't go under, and the Wall Streeters basically had no leverage to shut them down. And so a lot of other states and cities have actually been looking at this. There's no reason that you can't have a Bank of Pennsylvania or even a Bank of Allegheny County or a Bank of Pittsburgh if you meet all of the requirements for having a bank. And what happens is that these government entities put their pension funds and their monies into that bank as collateral, as security, and then they proceed to loan money out to places like the Borough of Carnegie to do projects. Instead of us floating bonds, we go to the bank and get the money. It has a lot of very interesting consequences, which I think are almost all very positive. Certainly an insulator against the next massive criminal activity in Wall Street. The other thing was health care, and of course health care is a big burden for everybody, and we pay at the borough, we pay health care costs here as well. And there were some interesting ideas. Of course, UPMC is the major topic of discussion across the state, and some interesting ideas, both with the support of both the Democrats and Republicans, because everybody is affected. But of course, we have a new legislature, we have a new governor, and we don't know how this will all play out. I think some bills will be introduced in the next 6 months or so, and then we'll just have to see how everybody's getting along in Harrisburg as to whether there'll be any activity on these. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Very interesting. Code enforcement and community development, Councilperson LeVar.
Nothing this evening, sir.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilperson Demko.
Just a quick comment. We had some complaints when the snow got real bad about some of the alleys not being clean. And I just wanted to let everybody know that they did eventually get to the alleys, but the main roads and the streets are most important first to clean. So everybody's just gonna have to be patient with the alleys. And by the time they got to the alleys, it was already icy, and I think you threw salt on it, and it just took a while for it to melt because it was, after the fact. So I just wanted to let everybody know that they're doing best they can. Great job. All I hear from people is when they're coming from every direction, that it's bad, and then they hit Carnegie, it's clean, and then as soon as they're out of Carnegie, it's bad again. So they're doing a good job. Just have to try to get on the alleys a little quicker, Dan. Okay? That's all.
Thank you. Public Safety, Councilperson Boyd.
Yet another reason not to leave Carnegie.
That's right.
That's right.
You won't be able to in a month.
But yeah,
That's right.
just two things I want to bring up this evening. Fire department will be going to two very unique training classes in the next, well, one's this Thursday and one is a month from this Thursday. We've fortunate that we had a contact at Duquesne Light, and we're going to get some extensive training on electrical fires, which will be very handy. And Mayor was kind enough to give us a contact at the railroad, and given the various hazardous materials that flow through our community, we thought we'd get prepared just in case. And Fire Department says thanks, Mr. Mayor, and we've got that scheduled for next month, and we're pretty excited. They're coming to us to do the training, and they're all about working with the communities along their tracks, so it's all good. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I have nothing this evening, so we'll have the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just had one thing for this month. Administration is going to start working on an updated map of the borough, which the last one was done in 2012. This is a good way for our businesses in the community to definitely get their name out, since we have a lot who are now entering the borough, and things have grown substantially in the business district. The map reaches everyone in the borough, plus a few thousand on top of that, so it's just a good networking piece for everyone to get familiarized with the borough. So that's all I have for this month, and that should be coming out sometime in midsummer.
When you say map, do you mean like the one we had before with?
Yes, correct. It'll be a map, and then it'll have other information, whether it be for ordinances, for borough contacts, other park hours, other things that the borough does throughout the year. Just like I said, an advertising informational piece for residents.
Are we going to put the zoning overlay on that map? Or?
That's the plan, yes.
Okay.
It's on the map.
Yeah, it was on the current one.
Color code.
Yeah, I just wanted this. Okay. Because I know it's up and updated since the last time.
Yeah, and they do it every 2 to 3 years, and we're up now, so we went ahead and started on that.
Okay.
And just so you know, this is no cost for the borough, so it's a good way to get our information out there.
Very good. Thank you. Carnegie Volunteer Fire Department EMS report.
Let's see. Unofficial numbers, as the county has not published their numbers yet, but these are the fire department and EMS numbers. If they're substantially different, I'll update them next month. But EMS answered 193 calls last month. Fire department answered 17 calls last month. Do have one additional commentary kind of tied to some of what we talked about last month. Councilman LeVar talked about having a list of folks that he checks on periodically last month. And just to carry that on to the next step, the police department, the fire department will work together to, if you don't get an answer when you call folks, we'll work together to go do what's called a welfare check. We've done several of those recently, not with the best outcome in either case, but it just goes to one of the things that we can and will do, and all you have to do is ask us to do it, and we're glad to do it.
Thank you. Junior counsel, no junior counsel here tonight. Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The numbers for January 2015, criminal arrests, number 18, traffic citations were 32, parking tickets 63, complaints and self-initiated activity by our police department was 980. I'd like to bring attention to a very successful sting operation that our police department orchestrated. Our police department periodically will check the internet for risky businesses that are located here in Carnegie. We were able to identify one that was a prostitution out of a house, and we set up a sting, and they made 2 arrests on this prostitution that was advertising, of course, on the internet, and we charged the female with prostitution and the male with aiding prostitution. So that just happened last month, and it was a really neat how they put together the sting and actually used outside agencies to help complete the sting. So I commend the chief and the department. Great job, chief. We raised money. There's enough money now to get some spike strips for our police department. We'll be in the process of purchasing 2 spike strips. They're the strips that you put down across the ground when you have a chase coming through your community. The idea is to flatten the tires and hopefully stop the chase and keep everyone safe. So we should have those in about a month. I'd like to alert everybody on a couple incidents of fraud. In Scott Township, they had an incident of fraud where individuals were posing as roofers during these extreme weather events. They go door to door and they look for individuals who are vulnerable, and they tell them that there's issues with their roof and they need to check it out. One goes inside, one goes outside. If any of that happens in Carnegie, do not accept roofers that solicit you door to door. If you haven't called the roofer yourself, then you shouldn't use them. If people are coming door to door and soliciting services like that, please contact our police department. We will investigate it immediately. Do not let them in. The other fraud incidents that have been going around, and we've probably all heard this, whether it be on TV or within our own neighborhood, is the IRS sting. People will call you and tell you that they're from the IRS. They even work it out so that it looks like they're calling from the IRS, and then they'll tell you that you owe back taxes and you need to pay those back taxes immediately, and they ask you to get like a prepaid debit card or give them your checking number. The problem with this is that people fear the IRS to begin with. We will be sending out a Facebook blast on this, on who to contact and what to do in these situations. Basically, never ever pay anything over the phone to the IRS, and they never solicit you over the phone. They will contact you via mail first. So we'll put that all out on the website to protect people, especially during tax season. As Mr. President alerted to earlier, we are into PennDOT construction season, just right around the corner, in fact. March 3rd, they will be closing the ramps in and out of Carnegie on March 3rd. Those ramps will remain closed until December. The goal is to obviously get them open earlier than that, but if the same thing happened as last year, it was about 2 weeks later, about mid-December when they opened up. During that time, there will be 2 full weekend closures in the area between Green Tree and Carnegie. Green Tree and Central, excuse me. Which means that when they close the full closures in that area, all the traffic gets routed through Carnegie. Those weekend closures, we will have officers staffed and do the best we can to keep traffic moving on those weekend closures. Right now, the chief, I met with him earlier, and the chief met with him this week. We were guaranteed that those closures will not happen during our big events, the library event and the event at the 5K. We'll see. I think the library event is definitely safe. They feel like they can avoid that one. I think the 5K, I'm still a little worried about it because the closure is planned for the week before the 5K, and my concern is that they get a weather event that week. Then what do? They didn't give me an answer on that. So we'll keep.
Mr. Mayor, they did assure us that the 5K they will not close full closure, but the ramps will still be closed.
Right.
But the full closure won't occur at the 5K.
Okay. We'll see. I've been promised, but I take all PennDOT promises with a grain of salt. So, is that how the phrase goes?
That's it.
Anyway, And then there is a meeting here at our Borough building for anyone interested in the plan, PennDOT's plan. That's this Thursday at 6 p.m. Right here. I can tell you that we will have additional officers. Last year we had 4 stations man, Chief, and this year we'll have 6? 5. 5. This year,
to start. This year.
5 to start. And the concerns that we need to help with from the public, and we'll be getting this information out there, we really need to help from the public that if there's how the traffic's moving, are there shortcuts being taken that are impeding traffic, and do we need better signage in and around the area? Last year, PennDOT closed the ramps so early. They weren't even supposed to close them last year when they did, but they closed the ramps so early that the signage, that the closures outpaced the signage, and we had a lot of issues because of that. So this year, we're hoping that it coincides with each other and the signage is appropriate, but we need help in that area. If you see signage that's inappropriate, let us know. Or better, if we need better signage somewhere else. And then the last good news with PennDOT, as you probably heard this weekend, is a inbound full tunnel closure. For the inbound tunnel will be fully closed this weekend. Now they've been planning these throughout the winter, and they haven't had one yet. Here's the interesting fact: when they actually announced that last year when we were at the meeting, I asked them point blank, if we have weather events, will this cause you to not be able to close the tunnels and have to push them back? And they answered me, absolutely not. We should be able to handle all these closures, whether it's a weather event or not. So much for PennDOT's information. Well, that was actually the contractor, but still. There will be additional tunnel closures between now and April. There's 4 total, and this will just be number 1. 2 on the inbound and 2 on the outbound. I just want to talk a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls Club has their 7th annual comedy night coming up on March 13th. This is a very important fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club. It's a fundraiser where they, all the money stays here in the community, and they use that money for scholarships, for summer camps for kids who are needy, and they also use that money to help pay for teen employment in the summer to work the summer camps. So all that money stays right in the community, and this is it's a great event, so if you can make it, it's great. What I will say is that the Boys and Girls Club is really working on all cylinders. Their after-school program is one of the tops of all the Boys and Girls Club. It averages 92 students a day, and those are all mostly from Carnegie. And the sports programs are averaging 140 children a day. So that's pretty impressive. And they have a new teen room there. The new teen room is a room where teens can go to and just get some chill out and also get some educational components. They have a Beats music program that they use there, which is teaching kids how to make and produce music. They just started that for teens. And they also have a Be Great program for teens there. And that Be Great program is they put 50 teens through this Be Great program, And what that does, it's 5 sessions that teaches kids about life skills, everything from check writing to resume writing to preparing for an interview. And then when they're done with that program, they actually get a $100 check. So it's a real win-win situation for everybody. And their picture goes up on the board. We talked a little bit about the zoning overlay, as Mr. President talked about. We are currently working on some zoning issues here in the borough. We are working on updating our zoning, which should be done relatively soon, but updating the zoning for our business district and residential areas. But especially in our business district, we are establishing a core business district which would run between Sainsbury and Jefferson Street on East and West Main Street. And we hope to create zoning that promotes more retail and supports what is happening in that area. And so we're working on that now, and that should be complete. That should be completed relatively soon. As Speaking of retail, I want to tell Mr. Ferry, who's in the audience, I didn't expect you to be here, but I wanted to thank you for all your years of business here. You've sold your business, and we appreciate all
I
that.
have not sold my business.
Oh, you didn't sell it yet?
I sold the location.
Oh, sorry. You sold the location. Okay. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to tell you sold your business, but you sold the buildings. And in the one building, the Monument Building, the one that's so beautiful down there, there will be a restaurant coming. And that restaurant will be a really nice mid-scale breakfast and lunch place called Bacon, B-A-K-N. And it's I've seen the menu, and a buddy of mine is a chef there, and the individuals who worked on the selling were friends of mine too, the brokers. So I think it's going to be a real nice addition to the community. And sorry if I said you sold your business, but I want to thank you for all your years of service here. That's what I was trying to say. And yesterday we had I want to thank the chief. He did a nice job of helping to organize this vigil against domestic violence, and especially against domestic violence homicides. 3 years ago, yesterday, we had a domestic violent homicide in our community, and we had a nice vigil here. We had a lot of people come and support the cause, including County Councilman Mike Finnerty and Congressman Mike Doyle. It was just a really nice event, and I hope that we all realize that domestic violence and domestic violence homicides affects everyone. It affects families, it affects communities, it affects schools, it overwhelms the courts, it's an undue burden on law enforcement, and it's something that we could definitely do without in our society. So I want to thank everybody who helped make that happen. 5K applications, they're available. If you're interested in running or walking, it's a lot. You can even bring Fido. There's a lot of people that bring their dogs to the 5K. So it's a real nice, family-friendly and pooch-friendly event. So come and join us on the April 25th. Pre-registration till March 30th is $15. It's a bargain. Yo Vikings is now playing at the Carnegie Library. It's a great play. It'll be this last weekend here. It's a good play for young kids. And lastly, I want to end with something that I think is pretty exciting happening here in Carnegie, but some people may not feel as excited as I am about it. We have some visitors that will be coming to town at on February 21st. They will be arriving at Riley's Poorhouse late at night to promote the Donnybrook fights. And these are visitors from Ireland. And one of them is Michael Carruth, who was here last year, who was a 1992 Olympic gold medalist. And the other one will be Bernard Dunn, who was the WBA champion. So we have, it's going to be a great night here for Carnegie, especially if you love boxing. I must say I do love boxing. So be at Riley's, and that's the last stop of the night, and they will close up the place, I guarantee you. They closed up the place last year. So it's welcome. We want to welcome here to Carnegie. Mr. President, that's all I have right now.
Thank you. We have a last-minute housekeeping measure under Finance. Councilman DeLoss, would you read that additional motion?
Yes, Mr. President, this concerns the fire truck agreement that we decided on in December. A motion to enter into a lease agreement with Community Leasing Partners for the financing of one KME custom mid-mount aerial truck and one KME custom pumper truck. The principal, that is the value of the two trucks together, is $1,491,608. The interest payments, and I don't know the term of this, 15 years, thank you. The interest payments are $492,417.96, making a total payment over the 15-year period $1,984,025.96.
you
So-
run those numbers by again, Rick, because that was a lot of numbers.
Second.
The numbers again, the principal, $1,491,608. Interest, $492,417.96. And the total, $1,984,025.96.
Mr. President, I understand that this was a budgeted matter that was dealt with by council when you established the budget for 2015.
Correct. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item?
I'm just curious, what's the motion for? Is it to approve that, or?
Just enter into a lease agreement for
Lease
the
agreement.
financing.
Okay. Not to be, didn't we do that the night of the 30th? Or wasn't it?
I don't have the documents, but I know we voted on to approve it for the budget, but I didn't know that we voted on the leasing specifically.
You approved the numbers for the budget, but you probably didn't approve the lease and stuff. And that's the reason why we're asking to have it approved.
And I just got the lease last Thursday and I read it. And here's the solicitor's opinion on that. It's prepared to go with it. The deadline is the 12th, so. Yes.
And I just want to comment, it seems like an extraordinary amount of money, and it is. But, if we want our fire department to fight fires, to save lives, we need to provide them with equipment that allows them to do so. So it's an investment that, no matter how expensive, needs to be made.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson LeVar,
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd,
Yes.
Councilperson Demka,
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield,
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss,
Yes.
Council President Katina.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. At this point, we'll now have general public comment. If you have general public comment, please come forward, state your name and address, and I ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. And to remind everyone, this is your time for comment, basically, to be heard. It's not a debate with council, so please remember that. So please step forward.
John Ferry, my address is 34 Woodridge Drive. As we're well aware, there are some new changes taking place in our community, and this is going to make our community even better and even stronger. One of the items that is of great concern to me is a particular digital sign which is being promoted to this council. And I would like to address the council in several manners here. Those members of council that would consider voting yes for this particular digital sign. This particular business is more than self-sustaining. The sign doesn't, one way or another, put them in jeopardy or harm's way to survive. A point in this area is Ferry Memorials has been in this community for 72 years, and I never put up a digital sign. This sign gives them an opportunity to make even more money at the ultimate expense of this community, which really means that any business that wants to make more money will be applying for a digital sign. This would never be approved in any other municipality. This is opening up a can of worms for even more future problems. The car with the billboard has never been properly handled by this council or previous councils. Why hasn't it been handled? The subject of $3,000 to $5,000 court issue is simply making it easy to make a decision to vote yes. No matter how this is sugar-coated, at what price is this community paying in the end? Now the next portion of this council, for those of you who have an undecided vote at this point, take a real close look at what's being pushed here. Remember, no other community council would ever approve this under any terms. And lastly, those who are voting against this. Hold your ground. Apparently you are the few who have misgivings and doubts as to where this is headed. Your ordinance, in general, your ordinance, 1,200 feet, will not save the day for future considerations. Variances, court lawsuits brought about by businesses that can well afford a $30,000 to $40,000 billboard sign will be on their way. For the businessman spending $10,000 or $20,000 in court costs to get his way, it's only candy money to him in the end. This council needs to act responsibly. And I would hope that the more time you give this and the more you see the circumstances, being the fact that first of all, CBS has a digital sign on their property. Get-Go will have a digital sign on their property. There really should only be 2 exemptions with any detail to a digital sign. And that would be, if you look at the fire department, they really have no place to install a digital sign. And many fire departments do have digital signs. So if they made a presentation to the Planning Commission or Council for an exemption, I think that the fire department would be one of the 2 worthy circumstances to be allowed to have a digital sign off premise.
Mr. Fair, your 3 minutes has expired, so you need to wrap it up.
The last exemption would be this municipality. Since this borough building is off-site and not on the public right-of-way, that would be the second exemption, where a digital sign would serve this community and serve this municipal building as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please give this very serious thought. You're headed into harm's way.
Thank you. Any other public comment this evening? Seeing no other public comment, we'll begin with Council Good and Welfare. Councilman Boyd.
Jack mentioned the 5K. I'll just say it again. The 5K is on April 25th. It's a Saturday morning. If history repeats itself, it'll be a beautiful morning, a great day to go for a walk or run.
You really had to say that.
I had to say it. It'll be a beautiful morning.
If it's not.
That'll be my fault. I'll be just as wet as everybody else. And that's the most important fundraiser that the fire department has, and the good folks here at the Borough supported it for this being the 8th year, I believe. And it's just a wonderful thing. The second most important fundraiser that the fire department has is something that we do in collaboration with the Bridgeville Volunteer Fire Department. It's our annual Cash Bash. It's held at the Bridgeville Fire Department. It'll be on Saturday, April the 4th. And assuming council will support, as they supported me last year, we'll all have tickets available to sell for that event.
It's April? Yeah, it's April this year? Or it's May?
Maybe I better get back to you on that. I think it's April 4th. I have it in my calendar as April 4th.
That's just early. Usually it's May. You can check it out. Yeah, not to put you on the spot, sorry.
Not to put me on the spot, but here I am.
Okay. Anyhow, we'll get back to you on that. Councilman DeLoss?
I'd like to mention that on Monday is President's Day, and we have a very significant event happening in Carnegie, being that we are opening a brand new Lincoln Portrait Gallery up at the library. This display of 100 photographs of Abraham Lincoln was once previously displayed here 5 years ago. And it's an incredible collection. And we have now acquired that collection of photographs for the Library Music Hall by a generous donation. And on Monday, they will be unveiling that display in the new what is going to be called the Portrait Gallery, Lincoln Portrait Gallery. So we're very excited about that. I think it's going to help put that institution even more on the map than the Civil War Veteran Post already has done. So it's a big day. There's lots of events going on there all day. So I hope that you'll attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sarsfield?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to, that's a great event, President's Day, honoring past and present leaders, whether you agree with their decisions or not. They've taken on and embraced the challenges that each and every one of these individuals have been faced with. Also, it is Valentine's Day. Be kind to not just your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, but your children, your aunts, your uncles, your neighbors. There's enough violence out there tearing our nation and our world apart. Let's use Valentine's Day as a start of a new beginning of bringing people together through church and through community service. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Demko?
I just want to tell everybody that St. Elizabeth Ann Seton is having their Valentine's Day dance Saturday night. It's $22 a person, food, music, and we went last year and we really, really had a good time. The food was delicious, the music was great, everybody was dancing, we really had a good time. So if you didn't plan anything with your sweetheart yet, stop down there. It's right down here at the social hall, and it was really, really nice last year. So it's Saturday, actual Valentine's Day. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Lamar?
I guess I'm going to go to the Carnegie Library twice this week because I have a 7-year-old who's going to go see Go Vikings. Okay? It's $10 a person, and it's a nice way to spend a day with my daughter. Okay? The other event reminds me of the fact that when I was my daughter's age, they said that the Gettysburg Address was 100 years ago. Now it's 150 years ago. Okay. And when you think back, you say, my, where did 50 years go? Well, I was her age, and I think about the meaning of, people that are making difficult decisions, and I don't think any American could doubt that Abraham Lincoln had made more than anybody else, and had to stand alone more than anybody else. So most people don't know this, but Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War ended on Palm Sunday, and the African Americans in Washington were so excited. They really treated him like the Messiah. They took branches of trees and waved them. And he died on Good Friday. And it's interesting that it's 150 years ago that we celebrate that a man got on a train and wrote on the back of an envelope the Gettysburg Address, was invited as an afterthought. Another man, a judge, was brought there and talked for 3.5 hours as the keynote speaker. And he invited the President of the United States to get up and talk for less than 2 minutes. So it isn't necessarily how much you say. It's, it's one judge downtown used to say, blessed are the brief. But I think everybody in Carnegie has a special reason to be excited about this second event of the portraits, but I'm going twice in 1 week to the Carnegie Library, so I invite you to come with me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, if you haven't read it or heard it yet, we're very much interested in trying to resurrect the Blues on the Main. If you're interested in volunteering, if you know anyone who's interested in volunteering, please get the word out, because we're definitely going to need people to help this out to make this a reality this year. And it's a very exciting time for all of us, and we all want to see this happen.
more than words can express, but we need help in pulling this off. So like I said, please get the word out, and anything you can do would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, and I need a motion to adjourn this evening.
Motion.
Second.
Motion has been made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.